So, odds are if you're subscribed to this channel, which you will be one of the under 20 people on the planet to do so, you probably found me from the Tuques and Tires YouTube channel, where Zach is currently, well, revitalizing the enemy with basically all the wrong stuff, but it's going to be amazing. But me and Zach have actually been friends for a long time. And when I saw him build this racing lawnmower on his YouTube channel, I felt very targeted when he wanted me to own it after. And by targeted, I mean, there's no way he did not build this with thinking, hey, Evan's totally going to want to buy this after. And he was absolutely right, because it's amazing. So this is the Grasser, and he did a whole video of him basically building this, doing a straight axle front end in it. It's got the big tires on the back. It's just so cool. It's got a, I believe, and he will be mad at me if I get this wrong, but a 55 Chevy hood ornament on it. We have a suicide front end. I built the stack. It wasn't there on the YouTube channel. But what it is a 420cc powerfist, basically universal engine. This wasn't really designed for anything in particular. And the biggest thing with it is that with using the stock trans and everything, it had to be shaft driven from the underneath because it's still using all the factory stuff. It seems to be a bit of a copy of a lot of Honda engines, and, you know, like in the States, you guys have Harbor Freight. We don't have that, but it seems to be about the same stuff. So, we're going to be towing this guy and my other race car with this lawnmower. And, like, you have to admit, you haven't seen a supercharged lawnmower towing a supercharged race car at a racetrack. It just hasn't happened. Now, if I get enough of you on the hook and convince you to subscribe to this channel, I might try to make miniature mechanical fuel injection and kind of go through a lot of the science and math of how that works. I've never seen somebody take that, shrink it down, and put it on basically a supercharger the size of an alternator. But if you want to see that, let me know. But for now, we have a few things we got to do here. The biggest thing is our fuel tank is completely in the way. And to be honest, there's not a lot of space up here to try to drive a belt on the front of this crankshaft. We have a centrifugal clutch on the front of this guy. And to be honest, it's just going to be kind of a nightmare. So I got to thinking, well, this engine has a starter on it, which means the whole factory pull start area is kind of free, and it's directly being driven off of the crankshaft here. So in my way of thinking, there's not really any reason why, instead of driving it on the front of the motor, that we can't drive it off the back, spin the supercharger around, and spin it that way. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to make a bit of a manifold under it. And from there, we're going to have to try to tie it into the side of the cylinder head here. Obviously, this is all going to go. It already has a bit of a homemade intake on it. But I think that's our plan. The biggest thing with this carburetor, too, is that it's not going to be gravity fed anymore. So, going to have to find a small electric fuel pump for it. And, yeah, I guess we will commence ruining. So, I made possibly the greatest discovery ever. This is a Gilmore belt drive for turning a water pump for pretty universal whatever. But it looks almost exactly like just a mini cog supercharger belt. So much so, this is the pulley that came off the supercharger. This was the same diameter. It literally bolted on there. And honestly, it's a little big, but it's pretty perfect. I have another pulley. I think one of them is supposed to be a idler, but I counted the teeth and it's half the size of this one, which this is going to be our crank pulley. So we do have the option of a party mode. I don't think we should go straight to blowing up this engine, but even 1-to-1, I still feel like we should be making 6 or 7 pounds of boost, but honestly, your results may vary when you supercharge your lawnmower. I can't imagine anyone else is going to do this, but yeah. All right, so don't judge me. It was all for a good reason. So we're overdriving the supercharger now, mainly because reasons. And the blower is going to have to sit another probably 7 inches higher than it's at right now, just because I only can find one size of belt that fits these pulleys. But we made a lot of headway. This is just stupid. This is probably the dumbest thing I'm ever going to make in my life. Originally, I'm like, oh, like, let's hang it out the side, and then it wasn't going to clear the cylinder head. There was no way to line up the pulleys, and I'm like, well, I don't want to ruin the hood. But now I'm like, man, I don't even know if I want to have a hood on this. This is pretty next level for, like, literally a tow vehicle for a race car. Yeah, so this is going to be hilarious, and I think it's going to whine its absolute brains out. So what we're going to do next, I just have it kind of threaded in here just so to be honest, so I could take a zillion pictures. So what we're going to do, these are the factory gas tank mounts that were on top of the motor. And obviously none of them are going to actually line up with the supercharger, but they're both really good spots to build off of. They're nice, solid castings. And yeah, we're basically going to make a platform. Our outlet for our superchargers on the bottom here. Our new outlet's probably going to be about this high, which is going to give us like a perfect route to make something to just tie into the cylinder head. All right, so I always try to build, let's call it a rapid prototype first. All we have here, this shaft, all you have to do is twist it, and we can adjust our belt tension. Most of this stuff's tacked, and to be honest, these are brackets that I had, so we're going to angle cut everything and make it look like it's supposed to be there. It's pretty sturdy, but obviously there's some more work we can do. This is just, welded on the backside. It has no gusseting. What I want to do while we have the chance, this is sturdy enough to try this to see if this thing's even capable of turning the supercharger. And what I mean by that, the engine itself was meant to be in all kinds of garden equipment, generators, air compressors. So I know it can run an implement while it's running. All superchargers take power to actually turn. What we need to know, is this starter able to even turn this thing? Because the problem is, I go any further, we pretty this thing up, make it look like it's supposed to be there, turn the key, now the starter's not big enough. We're really going to be screwed at that point. So, hooked up a battery with a little bit more cold cranking amps. I think this would probably be fine, but we'll probably do something else anyway, because once we have the carbs and stuff up here, we're going to need an electric fuel pump as well. I might actually run a wideband O2 on it, just because I have one for my F100. So, if anyone wants to do a drum roll, this is now the time. Oh, that's going to be good. So, by screwing this in and out, I can tighten our belt. This is going to get quite up a bit more and kind of prettied up. I just sort of used gussets that I had. I'm going to gusset the top of this and plate all of the kind of front of it in. More for looks than anything else. The outlet's on the bottom. We're just going to run a pipe going from the bottom of this guy to the side of the cylinder head there to get the fuel in. But we have a blower bolted onto a lawnmower and it works. Hell yeah! Whew. Well, it runs. It runs. Definitely needs a lot more bracing in here. And man, does this need to be like adjusted. But like, man, that is so cool. I can't believe we have a racing lawnmower with a supercharger. This is great. We have our quick disconnect on the fuel pump. Obviously, this is all going to have to get remounted. I'm going to build a moon tank on the front here. Just, not going to lie, for style points. So our fuel pump's probably going to be hidden back here somewhere, and it'll be plumb different. Currently, we have the 91 octane sitting back there. It's running really, really rich. But like, the second you touch this throttle, it is like so much air. I almost wonder if we're gonna have to not overdrive the blower. It's a little bit much, I think, for it. It's gonna make a ton of torque. I don't know how happy it's gonna be with that. I'm not planning on revving this thing to the moon anyway. 90% of this is sights and sounds, to be completely honest. But we have a supercharged lawnmower. Obviously, I'm still messing around in here. But yeah, we have a supercharged lawnmower. This is amazing. I guess our next step, I'm going to button some things up and try to tune it a little bit. And then we're going to try to drive it. So, does it do wheelies? Does it not do wheelies? Only time will tell. Can't forget the quick disconnect. Well, I kind of got to thinking, there is a lot of stuff that I want to add to this, and I really want to show you guys how to build like a budget fuel tank. I'd like to put the wheelie bars back on it. You know, obviously the fuel system and stuff. I kind of want to get the blower a little bit lower again. It got a little bit 70s street machine. I can't say that I hate it, but I can definitely see the argument that our quickie bracket here, no matter what you do, it's always going to vibrate. I mean, we can add some more bracing, but at the end of the day, this thing's sitting, you know, a solid foot over top of the motor, so you're only going to make those brackets so strong. So I think we should look at that again. I have to admit, I bought this carburetor mainly because I thought it was hilarious and I thought it would kind of look cool, but I mean, out of the box, I've barely adjusted this and I'm shocked the thing idles. I gotta mess with this back cover more. I had to pull it off because it was actually scrubbing the rotors a bit. So that might need a little bit of remachining here and there, but I mean, all in all, this thing is gonna work. I mean, I think the carb needs to be rejetted, but I mean, it does idle. It tries to rev so quickly. And I think that's going to be very, very temperamental when we actually drive it, but in the best way possible. So it wasn't really my original intention. I think this is gonna have to be a two-parter. Yeah, so obviously this is an introduction for me. I've never filmed and edited anything in my life. We've got the vintage race cars on the other side of me. I have my F100. We have a V8 powered Datsun here. My girlfriend really wants to build a Power Wheels go-kart. There's always something going on. I'm constantly doing TIG welding work for companies and just individuals, race car fab. We do the mechanical injection tuning, magneto stuff. If there's anything that you guys want to see, I know the shop is currently in getting ready for winter, working on stuff. We're shuffling everything and getting stuff out of here. So it's currently a complete train wreck, but you know, that's just going to get us ready so that we can do more cool work. And now that I'm filming it, it'll actually give me an excuse to kind of stop and explain some of the things I'm doing. I, for the longest time, got a lot of flack that stuff would show up and people would go, oh, that's super cool, how'd you do it? Oh, I don't know, 4 a.m. Evan did that and I didn't really think about it, but this is now more of a journal than anything else. So yeah, you know, comments down below. Is there something you want to see? You know, we've got the 2 fuel altereds. Next month we'll probably be bringing one of the 2 of them to the track. I mean, possibly both, we'll have to see. Both of them need some work, so I'll probably be filming that as well. And yeah, this is definitely not the last time you're going to see the Grasser. We still need to take it for a drive, so I'll have to get it the rest of the way back together. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. You know, I appreciate any comments or anything. I know how bad I am at filming stuff. So yeah, please, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, go build something weird. Maybe not this weird. I don't know. This is a little far.